Iran urges UN to respond to Trump's reckless threats over protests. Iran's United Nations ambassador, Amir Saeed Iravani, has written to the UN Secretary-General and the President of the UN Security Council, UNSC, urging them to condemn unlawful threats towards Tehran from United States President Donald Trump amid ongoing protests in the country. The letter sent on Friday came hours after Trump said the U.S. was locked and loaded and ready to go if any more protesters were killed in the ongoing demonstrations in Iran over the cost of living. Iravani called on UN Chief Antonio Guterres and members of the UNSC to unequivocally and firmly condemn Trump's reckless and provocative statements, describing them as a serious violation of the UN Charter and international law. Any attempt to incite, encourage, or legitimize internal unrest as a pretext for external pressure or military intervention is a gross violation of the sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Iravani said in the letter, which was published in full by the IRNA state news agency. The letter added that Iran's government reiterates its inherent right to defend its sovereignty and that it will exercise its rights in a decisive and proportionate manner. The United States of America bears full responsibility for any consequences arising from these illegal threats and any subsequent escalation of tensions, Iravani added. IRNA reported earlier that protests continued across Iran on Friday, with people gathering in Qum, Marvdasht, Yasuj, Mashhad, and Hamdan, as well as in the Tehran neighborhoods of Tehranpars and Khak Sefid. The protests have swept across the country after shopkeepers in Iran's capital Tehran went on strike on Sunday over high prices and economic stagnation. At least 9 people had been killed and 44 arrested in the unrest. The deputy governor of Qum province on Friday said that another person had died after a grenade exploded in his hand, in what the governor said was an attempt to incite unrest. In his post on Truth Social, Trump said that if Iran violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. Ali Larijani, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, shot back that U.S. interference is equivalent to chaos across the entire region and the destruction of American interests. Iran's economic woes, including a collapsing currency and high inflation rates, follow years of severe drought in Tehran, a city with a population of some 10 million people, compounding multiple ongoing crises. Iranian leaders have struck a surprisingly conciliatory tone in response, with President Masoud Pezeshkian saying the government is at fault for the situation and promising to find solutions. Observers have noted the response is markedly different from the harsh reaction to past protests in the country. The United States bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites in June this year, during a 12-day escalation between Israel and Iran. Trump described the operation as a very successful attack. Last week, during a news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump said the U.S. will knock the hell out of Iran if it advances its nuclear program or ballistic weapons program. The statement came amid an Israeli push to resume attacks on Iran. Pezeshkian has pledged a severe response to any aggression.
America will come to their rescue. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. But Iran doesn't seem to be backing down after Trump threatened intervention. Ali Larijani, the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, responded by tweeting, "Trump should know that U.S. interference in this internal matter would mean destabilizing the entire region and destroying America's interests. The American people should know Trump started this adventurism. They should be mindful of their soldiers' safety." The latest rift between the U.S. and Iran comes just days since Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and also threatened Iran with another round of strikes over reports that Tehran is rebuilding their nuclear capabilities.
And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup.
Reporting for Newsweek from Washington, I'm Leonard.
If Iran shoots peaceful protesters, the United States will intervene. That was the blunt warning issued by Donald Trump as fresh protests erupt across Iran. The demonstrations spreading through major cities are being fueled by a collapsing economy, a plunging currency, rising fuel prices, and years of crushing U.S. sanctions. Those sanctions have strangled Iran's economy, weakened its currency, and pushed millions toward hardship. Critics argue the U.S. has been waiting for exactly this moment. Instability instability on the ground that could be used to justify intervention from the skies. Trump's statement dramatically raises the stakes. He claimed the U.S. is locked and loaded, signaling that Washington is closely monitoring Tehran's response and preparing for possible escalation. During Trump's recent meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he openly discussed the possibility of renewed U.S. strikes on Iran, making it clear that military options are once again firmly on the table. So the question now isn't just about protests, it's about whether pressure is turning into a prelude and whether intervention is already being